This is not a motivational story. This is a case file 003. David is 47 years old. He earns $212,000 per year. He has been earning six figures since he was 31. In 16 years of six-figure income, David has accumulated $63,000 in net worth. That is not a typo. Before we open the file, I want to give you the metric that frames everything you are about to hear. It is called the wealth conversion rate. Take the change in your net worth over the last 12 months, divide it by your gross annual income, multiply by 100. That number tells you what percentage of your earning power is being converted into permanent financial position. David's WCR over his last full fiscal year, 2.8%. For every $100 David earned, $2.80 became wealth. The remaining $97.20 passed through his hands and disappeared. He is not a failure. He is not financially reckless. He drives a reasonable car. He takes one family vacation per year. He contributes to his 401k, enough to capture his employer match and not a dollar more. David is what the data calls a high-income non-accumulator. He understood compound interest. He had understood it since his first economics class at 22. He had explained it to his children using the snowball analogy. He had simply never run the math on his own life. This is that story. This is Case File 003. David came to my attention through a message that landed in early 2024. He wrote 7 sentences. The last one was this: I have been earning $200,000 a year for the last 6 years. My net worth is lower than my annual income. I need someone to explain how that is possible. That is not a question about money. That is a question about a system that stopped working without ever announcing it had stopped. Let me open the file. David is a senior operations director at a logistics company in the Midwest. His income has compounded consistently over 16 years, from $81,000 at 31 to $212,000 at 47. He has received 4 promotions. His salary has grown at an average of 5.6% per year. His net worth has not followed the same trajectory. He owns a home with $284,000 in equity. He holds $41,000 in a 401k. He carries a brokerage account with $12,000 that he opened in 2020 and rarely revisits. Against that, he holds a home equity line of credit balance of $193,000, car notes on 2 vehicles totaling $68,000, and a credit card balance that has averaged $39,000 over the last 3 years, net position $63,000. The income grew at 5.6% annually for 16 years. The wealth position barely moved. In a functioning financial system, those 2 lines track together. They did not. That is the file. Now let's find out why. David knew about compound interest the way most educated adults know about compound interest. He had read The Wealthy Barber. He had watched videos about the Rule of 72. He owned a copy of The Psychology of Money, read 3/4 of the way through and placed on his nightstand in February of 2022. It is still there. He could explain Clara and James. Clara invests $200 per month beginning at 22. James invests $500 per month beginning at 35. Both earn 10% annually. At 65, Clara retires with approximately $1,100,000. James retires with approximately $680,000. James invested $69,000 more in actual contributions. He still finishes with $420,000 less. David could tell you exactly why. The 13-year head start, the earlier compound cycles, the geometric nature of the curve. He has shared articles about Clara and James on LinkedIn. He has bookmarked 3 compound interest calculators. He has at various points opened those calculators and entered numbers, and then closed the tab without saving them. Stop for a moment. David did not have an education problem. He had an application gap. The knowledge was present. The system was absent. He understood the tool the way a carpenter understands a level without ever placing it against a wall. This is the theoretical trap. You learn the concept, you find it compelling, you acknowledge its power, and then you return to your actual life, where the concept operates in the abstract and your money operates in the concrete. That gap is not closed by more reading, it is closed by running the number on yourself. David started thinking seriously about investing in 2009. He was 32. The market had just corrected 38% from its 2007 peak. He decided to wait for clarity. In 2011, he was ready. Then his daughter was born and they bought the larger house. In 2013, he revisited it. Then the HELOC came. Then the kitchen renovation. Then the second vehicle. In 2017, he opened the brokerage account. He transferred $500. He intended to automate a monthly contribution. He did not automate a monthly contribution. In 2020, he transferred $12,000 during the COVID correction and has not added to it since. This is not negligence. This is the pattern behavioral finance calls structured procrastination. Each delay carried a rational justification in the moment it was made. Taken individually, none of them was catastrophic. Taken together, they represent 15 years of compound cycles that did not run. Here is what 15 years of delayed investing costs at a 10% annual return. $1,000 deployed today at 47 becomes $4,177 at 67. $1,000 deployed at 32, when David first planned to start, would have become $7,400 at 67. The gap, $3,223 per $1,000 per year of delay. David did not lose that money in a bad investment. He lost it in a series of decisions that each felt, in the moment, like a temporary pause. That's the trap. The delay is invisible when it happens. The cost only becomes visible later, when the numbers that should have compounded simply are not there. David ran the Clara James calculation on his own numbers on a Tuesday evening in November. He had spent the previous 4 days pulling statements, his 401k portal, his brokerage account, 6 years of bank records, the HELOC balance, the car notes, the credit card averages. He built a single spreadsheet with one purpose: to calculate what his actual compound capital deployment looked like from age 32 to 47. He printed one page, 4 columns, year, income, net investable capital deployed, compound value of that capital today. The number in the final column, $41,000. Not the hypothetical number, the actual number, the real position. What 15 years of 6-figure income had produced in permanent capital? $41,000. He sat with that number for a long time. His wife came into the home office at 9:47 in the evening. She looked at the spreadsheet. She said, "Is that all of it?" It was all of it. The conversation that followed was not a fight. There was nothing to argue about. The numbers were not ambiguous. David had earned approximately $2,300,000 over the previous 15 years. He had retained $41,000 in investment capital. The conversion rate on 15 years of 6-figure income, 1.8%. He had spent 15 years explaining compound interest to other people. He had spent those same 15 years allowing his own income to pass through his hands. Think about that. Here is what David found when he stopped looking backward and started looking forward. He is 47. Standard retirement projection is 67. He has a 20-year hill. Go back to the compound interest tables. $1 at 10% annually. At year 10, $2.59. At year 20, $6.73. At year 30, $17.45. At year 40, $45.26. Now look at where the acceleration actually lives. The first 20 years, $1 becomes $6.73. Gain of $5.73. The final 20 years of a 40-year horizon, years 20 through 40, $6.73 becomes $45.26. Gain of $38.53. The last stretch produces 6.7 times more than the first stretch. On the same dollar, in the same machine. David does not have a 40-year hill. He has a 20-year hill. But the 20-year stretch he has remaining is the stretch where the exponential lives. He is standing at the exact point on the curve where the acceleration becomes visible. He did not miss compound interest. He was late to the starting line. The final stretch of the race is still ahead of him. This is the reframe that changes everything for a late starter. The question is not what you lost by starting late. The question is what the remaining hill actually produces, and whether you are positioned to run it. David was not positioned, not yet, but the hill was still there. If you are between 40 and 55 right now, your 20-year hill is still in front of you. The compound engine does not care when you arrived. It only cares whether you are running now. Before we move to the system David built, I want you to do one thing. Run your own number. Take your current investable net worth, not your home equity, not the 401k contributions you intend to make, not the account you plan to fund next quarter. The actual deployed capital generating compound returns right now. Divide that number by your gross annual income, multiply by 100. That is your real conversion rate. Drop one of 3 phrases in the comments right now. Above 15, below 15, or not calculated yet. That single response tells me more about your financial architecture than any budget you have ever built. And if David's file is familiar, if you have understood the concept for years without ever running it on your own numbers, comment case file. That signal tells me to keep bringing these forward. Every comment gets read. Every response matters. Now let's look at what David actually built, because the diagnosis is only half the case file. The other half is the architecture. David did not overhaul everything in one weekend. That is not how durable systems are built. He made 3 decisions in the 90 days following that Tuesday evening. Decision 1. He established a dedicated investment account separate from every other financial account he held. Not his 401k, not the brokerage account he occasionally remembered. A single, clean brokerage account with one purpose: systematic capital deployment. He automated a transfer of $3,500 per month to this account on the 1st of every month, before the mortgage payment, before the car notes, before any discretionary spending. The investment account became the first obligation, not the last consideration. Decision 2. He ran a debt sequencing audit. Not all debt is equal. His credit card balance carried an average interest rate of 22%. His car notes carried 7.4%. His HELOC carried 6.1%. At 22%, his credit card was running a compound interest machine against him, one that made every investment dollar he deployed less effective. He eliminated that balance in 4 months using $3,000 per month in directed payments and the cancellation of 3 recurring subscriptions he had never consciously chosen to keep. Decision 3. He adjusted his 401k contribution from 4% to 14%, not only capturing his employer match but deploying an additional 10% in pre-tax capital, reducing his taxable income and accelerating the compound engine inside the account he already held. In 18 months, David's investable net worth moved from $41,000 to $187,000. His wealth conversion rate moved from 1.8% to 31%. Not by earning more, not by finding a high-risk position, by building a system that treated compound interest as a mechanical obligation rather than an aspirational intention. 3 decisions. 90 days to deploy them, 18 months to see the result. That is what a functioning architecture produces. David did not become financially literate in the 18 months that followed that Tuesday evening. He already was financially literate. What changed was not his knowledge. What changed was the distance between the concept and the system. He closed the application gap. He stopped reading about the snowball and started building one. Compound interest does not reward understanding. It rewards deployment. You can know exactly how the machine works and never once turn it on. Most people with David's income are doing exactly that, maintaining the concept at a theoretical level while their actual capital flows through and disappears. The tool does not care whether you understand it. It cares whether you picked it up.